is lame and absurd, but you spit. You need to sit back and observe a certified pimp.
He's so fly. Oh yes he is. I mean that boy does the shit.
So messy he is.
Fresh to death.
Ain't nobody fresh as he is.
They can't compare.
Get next to him
because he's so fly. I mean the boy's so clean. From his white tee on down to those jeans. You see the ice in the pinky.
What is up? It's your man's Ken Jackson. This is the Ken Jackson Experience daily rant, random thoughts and shit. Welcome to the show. So, I'm just confused, y'all. I'm extremely confused as to what's going on here in the United States. Okay, so let me explain. We have a criminal organization in the White House, the Trump administration, headed up by Donald J. Trump, 34-time convicted felon, adjudicated sexual deviant, and 5-time draft dodging coward. And several things are going on that really confuse me. I'll start with first the attempted takeover or the takeover of Washington, D.C., and effectively making Washington, D.C. A police state by sending National Guard troops from multiple states into Washington, D.C. based on unfounded crime statistics, just made up numbers, made up activities. But Donald Trump feels like he can run Washington, D.C. better than anybody. Of course, he feels like he does anything better than anybody. So we have that. Secondly, we have said criminal organization negotiating with a foreign criminal organization led by indicted war criminal Vladimir Putin, the leader of Russia, the Russian Republic, who is currently committing major war crimes against its neighbor Ukraine, who is a free and sovereign nation who was absolutely zero threat to Russia. But Russia felt it necessary to attack them 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years now, unprovoked, taking over currently 20% of their land and actively bombing civilian targets, civilian infrastructure, blase, 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 blase. Everything they're doing is criminal. Now, Donald Trump, who ran on the premise that he could end the Ukraine war day one. Within day one of taking office, he said he was going to have that solved. We're coming up on the eight-month anniversary of Donald Trump taking office, and guess what? The Russian-Ukrainian war is not only still going, but it is moving at an unprecedented scale. Putin has increased his attacks against, again, civilian targets, civilian infrastructure, and he's literally murdering innocent men, women, and children, all for the purposes of Russian dominance and conquest. And I think at this point, though, he's fighting to try to save face, because originally he thought Ukraine was just going to be a pushover, and he didn't think that it would take much force at all. But again, like I said, here we are, almost 4 years in Ukraine. Ukraine is kind of fucking the Russians up. You know, they're holding their own pretty damn good against the Russian bear, which prior to the Ukrainian war was thought to be a superpower, you know, nonetheless. But the Ukrainians, like I said, are holding their own. And yes, they've had help. They've had help from the U.S. early on. But now, not so much. Europe has actually helped more than the U.S. has. Donald Trump keeps throwing these fake numbers of $380 billion when it was actually only $174 billion, give or take a billion, with the European Union contributing close to $200 billion to the Ukrainian effort in their defense against the Russian wannabe empire. So now, Donald Trump invited Vladimir Putin to a summit in Anchorage, Alaska this past week, which was an utter waste of time. Nothing was accomplished. No agreements were made. And actually, as they were meeting, Putin was stepping up the attacks in Ukraine. They launched a major offensive on the very day the summit started. Crazy, right? But they're supposed to be negotiating for an end to hostilities. Let me explain something to you, Mr. Trump. Vladimir Putin does not give a fuck about you or any sanctions that you claim to be imposing against Russia. He doesn't give a fuck about your fake strongman threats, because he knows you're weak, smelly ass, stupid motherfucker. And I'm not trying to clean that up. I said what I said. And then Donald Trump had the nerve to say that he stopped 5 wars already since being in office. Please list those 5 wars that you claim to have stopped, with details on how you stopped them, because we don't believe you. We're not believing anything. You claim to have stopped the war in Congo. They're still fighting in Congo. So the war has not ended in Congo. And I'm guessing that there are several other African nations that you have claimed to stop wars in, but knock it off with the bullshit. You're a liar, Mr. Trump. Yes, I said that too, and I'm not cleaning it up. You're a motherfucking liar. In fact, the best thing that's been happening in Africa is that African nations are starting to wake up, and they're kicking the colonizers out. And they're realizing that, hey, we are a mineral-rich culture and continent and we're going to control our own destiny. We don't need the help of the French or the Italians or the British, at least not the Americans. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to rebuild our countries, and we're going to stop letting you European colonizers steal our resources. And that's what's going on in Africa right now, in the continent of Africa. The continent of Africa. But getting back to here in the United States, because that's my major concern, is what's going on here. Donald Trump is actively working to rig the 2026 midterm elections. And he started out in Texas by ordering Texas Governor Hot Wheels. Yeah, I said that too. I'm not going to clean it up, not going to apologize. Governor Hot Wheels was ordered by Donald Trump to rig the elections in Texas. And how did he do that? Donald Trump told him, redraw the district maps. Now keep in mind, gerrymandering is always a bad thing. But district maps are typically redrawn when the census is taken, because districts are based on population. So as populations change from area to area, district maps have to be redrawn to keep the election coffers balanced out. But Texas Governor Hot Wheels is going to do Donald Trump's bidding and redraw the maps, giving the Republicans 5 more seats in Texas, which has forced the hand of New York and the great state of California to redraw their maps. Only difference is they're taking it to the people, and they're going to let the people vote on whether or not they want to redraw their maps halfway through the decade. Unlike Texas, who just decided to do it on the orders from Don Mango up there in D.C., who, and getting back to the takeover of D.C., what Donald Trump is trying to do with Washington, D.C. is turn it into his own Pyongyang. He wants to have his own sacred city, just like Kim Jong-un, or he wants to have something like the Kremlin or Beijing, for that matter, because he wants to be a dictator so bad. But he's such a weak, feeble-minded idiot that he thinks he can do everything by executive order. We do still have a Congress. Granted, the Congress is a non-functioning bunch of idiots on the Republican side as well, who will do Donald Trump's bidding at all costs, but we still do have a Congress who is supposed to be upholding the Constitution of these here United States. But as you all know, they've surrendered all of their power to the White House, as did the Supreme Court. And so we're basically fucked, y'all, because there's no legislative opposition to any of this bullshit now. And we're basically at a point where it's going to require a military option to get this country back on track. Now, I'm not calling for civil war or anything like that, but I am going to ask the generals and all active duty military personnel to uphold your oath. You took an oath to support and defend the United States and the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Donald Trump and the MAGA movement are domestic enemies. And you should be taking note, and you should be preparing contingency plans on how to fight the scourge of MAGA. That's what you should be doing. I'm talking to all the active duty leaders, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard too. I'll throw you all in there as well. FBI, which is already compromised fully. The intelligence community has been fully compromised. Hopefully, though, we have some rogues that are ready to act when needed to get this country back on track. We need to take our democracy back, y'all. And notice I'm speaking to you with no anger today. I'm not angry at all. I'm focused. I'm focused and determined and ready to fight to take America back from the maggot movement and Donald Trump and all Trumpsters all around the world. Ready to take on all comers. That includes family, friends, and otherwise. If you are a supporter of Donald Trump, then you are the enemy. And I will fight the enemy until I can't fight no more. I hope the rest of you are out there prepared, because it's coming down to a fight. I think it's pretty much inevitable that we may have a bloody end to this whole cycle of stupidity that's going on in the United States right now. It's so ironic to me that we have a bunch of racist-ass descendants of illegal immigrants telling basically the former indigenous people that they can't come here. This country was built on illegal immigration. There were people here already. And even they came from somewhere else, but they were here first. Actually, there's evidence that Africans made it here long before Europeans. Ain't that something? Have you heard about the Olmecs in Mexico? Turns out they were Africans, and they were here a few thousand years before the Europeans got here. But they don't want to talk about that. That's the part of history they want to wipe out. Think about why Donald Trump immediately wiped out the Department of Education. They're wiping out the Centers for Disease Control. They're wiping out all the agencies that were designed to educate us and to keep us safe. Donald Trump and the MAGA movement are trying to literally rewrite history. And a lot of you out there are allowing it to happen. Many of you out there are at fault because you chose not to participate in the last election. And because of that, we may not have a next election. 2026 midterms may not happen. If Donald Trump has his way, it won't happen. You've forgotten on several occasions Donald Trump said a vote for him would mean you would never have to vote again. That's what he told to the evangelicals. He meant that shit. He wasn't joking. He meant that. Project 2025 is in full effect. It's real, y'all. That's not fake news. That's not Democratic propaganda. Project 2025 is what Donald Trump is using right now to reshape America. And y'all are letting it happen. Not all of us. I'm definitely not. I will die if I have to try to save this country from a complete and total takeover by Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. I will. Because I got to think about my kids. I got to think about my grandkids and what they got to look forward to and what's going to be left behind, because I know I'm not going to see it through to the end. Because I got way more days behind me than I have ahead of me right now. I know that. But I'm definitely going to set the example and hopefully help to establish a pace back to good sense and back to civility, and getting America back on track towards greatness, because we hadn't achieved it yet. We hadn't achieved greatness yet. We've done some great things throughout history, and we've done some not so great things. And right now, we're doing a whole lot of not so great things. But in any case, it's going to take an all-hands effort to get this country back on track. So I hope you're all ready for it, because it's about to get nasty. It's truly about to get nasty. All right, so till next time, I'm your man's Ken Jackson. This has been the Ken Jackson Experience. Random thoughts and shit. I will see y'all next time, probably later today, even tomorrow for sure. And then again, Sunday night for my regular show, the Ken Jackson Experience, at 9 p.m. Right here on YouTube. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. Also, join me on TikTok, Crazy Baby TV World. I need all the TikTok followers I can get, because we're getting more active on TikTok, and so I definitely would love to see you there. And I recently joined Substack, for all of you looking for another platform to be able to communicate through. Substack, check them out. All right. And I'm not getting paid for any of those mentions, so, because I don't endorse products and shit like that. I don't sell merch, none of that. So, yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Crazy Baby TV World. Won't cost you a dime, but it'll definitely help me with the algorithm. And again, follow me on TikTok, Crazy Baby TV World. See you there. See you next time. Peace. I'm out.